2. From the Saliga Heating and Cooling Weather Desk, I'm AccuWeather meteorologist Joe Lundberg on 104.1 FM KMOX.
Right now it's cloudy and 37 degrees downtown. I'm Debbie Monterey, KMOX News.
Sponsored by Gloria Lou with your home sold guaranteed realty 314-325-6888.
Need to sell your home and you want the most money? The name to remember is Gloria Lou. Yes, Gloria Lou with your home sold guaranteed realty at 314-325-6888 and start packing.
This is the Gashouse Gang on 104.1 FM KMOX. Sponsored by Saliga Heating and Cooling, a Daikin comfort dealer.
And by Overhead Door Company of St. Louis and Chesterfield Fence and Deck.
Now the Gashouse Gang on KMOX.
Welcome to the show, the Tuesday edition. That means Bernie Miklasz is with us with Chris Ranji. I'm Tom Ackerman, and when the Cardinals make news, we bring in the news makers, the people that help make that news. Yesterday, the Cardinals announced their new TV situation, and we brought in Anouk Karunaratne. And today, to start the show, following their trade of Brendan Donovan to the Seattle Mariners, we welcome in the president of baseball operations, Chaim Bloom, is with us on the Gashouse Gang. Good to have you back on the show, Chaim.
Afternoon, guys. How are you doing?
Doing great. How'd it go with the reporters today? We know you had a Zoom, so we appreciate you spending a little extra time with us. Did it go well with everybody?
Well, I will leave that to you all and to the public to judge. But I tell you what, I didn't realize until this one that Brian Barco has a little clock on the thing, and he had to give everybody a 5-minute warning. There were a lot of questions.
Isn't that nice? Isn't that nice?
Or I talk too much. One of the two. I don't know.
You know what
You
know what Whitey Herzog used to do? He said Casey Stengel told him this. He would give long answers.
Yeah.
He said
fewer questions.
Long answers means fewer questions.
Well, I'll tell you what, Chaim, we don't pay attention to our clock, so you're not in luck today.
I've sometimes been accused of doing that myself, but I'm not sure it's always on purpose.
Yeah. So, I mean, here we are the morning after the deal, and Donovan, you had talked about it on this station and others publicly about the fact that, it didn't seem like you were in any rush to make a deal, but you wanted to get a deal done before camp. But also, and most importantly, you wanted to get the most you could for Donovan. Mission accomplished? I mean, do we feel that way here on February 3rd?
Yeah, obviously we're happy with and excited about the return, or we wouldn't have done it. Yeah, this wasn't, if we were going to do something, I wanted, in fact, we talked about this on Sunday, wanted to be able to do it before things open, but that doesn't mean, we had to do it. Obviously, we love Donnie, and he's super important to us as a player and as a person, and it wasn't something we were going to do lightly. But if we were going to do something, I think there's a lot of potential value right now in just having this young group come together and be really focused on where they're going, both what they're doing every day and then obviously where we're trying to take this thing longer term. And the less that we can have interfering with that, the better. So if we were going to make a move of this magnitude, would rather have done it before spring. And I do think things had gotten to the point where we had a pretty good idea of where we could push it when it was time to push it, and fortunate that we were able to do so with something that we felt got us over the line.
Hi, I'm Bernie Miklasz. Congratulations on to ask you a two-parter. Number one, how difficult was the process of getting this to fruition? And was the presence of Tampa Bay as the third team into the transaction, was that something that helped seal the deal, or were they part of this for a long time, or did they come in at the end?
Yeah, good question. So I'll take those in the order that you asked them. So I guess you could say it was difficult maybe in a sense, just in the sense that obviously this is a player who's really good and really significant to us in a lot of ways. So obviously moving him is not something you're going to take lightly. Not that we have taken the other trades that we did lightly, but just given where Brendan's at in his career, homegrown aspect of it, all those things just takes on added meaning and frankly raises the bar. And then also because of all of those things that I mentioned, who he is and the versatility that he has, there was a broad interest around the industry. Now, just because there's a lot of teams interested doesn't mean that every team is interested at the same level. So you got to sort through that. So there was a little bit of because there was a lot to sift through, it could be a little bit of a moving target at times. Some teams are very steady in their interest. Some teams were kind of more in and out. So there was just some work to do to just figure out exactly how, if we were going to do something, that we made sure we were maximizing it and bringing as much talent and as much value into the organization as we possibly could. Certainly, obviously, while it's not emotionally easy to do something like this, it's nice to have somebody that other teams value this much. And so it's fun to be able to consider a lot of possibilities. But then you got to drill down on what can you actually accomplish? What at the end of the day are other teams willing to give up? We are in a very, very smart industry, and an industry that's probably valuing prospects and valuing controllable talent as much and probably more than ever. So having names that you throw around and guys that you can actually go access, there can be some work in sifting through the difference between those two things. But like I said, really happy with where it ended up. And as far as the Rays are concerned, I do think this particular deal probably doesn't get done without their involvement. That's not specific to that organization. I know, obviously, I grew up there, spent a lot of time there. I guess relationships always help in making deals, but it was mostly that they just had a fit for a player that Seattle didn't have as much room for if they were to acquire Donnie, and that fit and what they were able to give up, willing to give up for Williamson, helped made the deal go for us. That just because we obviously have players who need opportunity short and long term in our infield, and so it wasn't going to be as good a fit for us, and rather have the talent with a longer runway and certainly the ability to do some things in the draft.
Do you feel like at any point you were close to just saying other teams are not willing to give up what we want in return, so we might just go ahead and ride this thing out into the season?
As we were going through it, that was always a possibility, but it did feel that even if it wasn't necessarily going to happen right away, that there were enough teams involved and enough strong interest being expressed that at some point something was going to come together that was just enough that we could not walk by it. So it had that feel for me the whole time. Probably took a little longer than I would have thought to get there. But again, when you have that level of interest, you usually would expect at some point somebody is going to separate themselves. And in this case, like we talked about, it did take that extra wrinkle of a third team being involved, but that eventually happened.
I've talked to you about the things that I felt like the Cardinals were missing, and I felt like you agreed. I mean, swing and miss, power potential. Sure looks like, at least on the surface here, the three players you've acquired, and again, you have 2 draft picks as well down the road, but the 3 players you acquired have that. Senja, who's an attractive option just for being a switch pitcher to begin with. And then Pete and Ledbetter, if you could break the 3 down as best you can as to why you were attracted to them and what they offer.
Yeah, will do. And obviously happy to. We spent quite a bit of time on these guys over the course of recent days and weeks. We'll start with Senja because he obviously, I think, is the most prominent player, although hopefully they all have really bright futures ahead of them. As you mentioned, really unique because he is a true switch pitcher in that, this is a guy, it must be nice to be able to throw 90 plus with both hands. I'll never know what that feels like from even one side. So pretty cool to be able to do it from both. And has continued doing that as a pro. When you think about the athleticism that it takes to do that, really positive indicator, and it's backed up by some measurable things that obviously really, really portend good things in terms of a guy being able to continue to grow and adjust and do the things that really good pitchers have to do on the mound, and especially really good starting pitchers. But also, what it takes to come up with a routine that allows you to do that physically and to stay healthy while doing it. And that's something we need to learn as we get this player in-house and make sure that he has a voice in his own development, because he's obviously figured out some things that work for him. The right side is really the one that stands out. It's pretty impressive that he can do what he can from the left side, but the quality of stuff and potential for some of the shapes he'll be able to create from the right side, the ability to command it, those really, like, that has, real upside of being, somebody that you'd be happy to have starting a playoff game for you. And that's, I think, obviously what you want in any starting pitching prospect is that ceiling. So there's, still some work to reach that ceiling. His first full pro season this year, he finished the year at AA, but there's plenty of work left to get to that ceiling I've described, but a lot of really cool ingredients there to be able to get there in terms of the athlete, the power to the stuff, and, just the upside that creates. And then the 2 position players, Ty Pete, talking about the other player from the Mariners, he was basically a first-round pick, the first competitive balance round in 23. Actually drafted as an infielder, but he went to the outfield on a more full-time basis this year and was really outstanding there. I mean, this guy's put together. He's a physical specimen, ultra athletic, and you could see that just in what he was able to do, both defensively in the outfield, the power speed combo at the plate. There is some swing and miss there that we want to hopefully over time help him clean up to the extent possible. There's some things just in reviewing him that our acquisition team and our hitting leadership saw that we might be able to help with on the training front. And obviously with the other tools that he has, if you can get to a good place with contact to where he can climb the ladder and get to the big leagues, you got a chance for a really exciting player. I mean, potential for a true center fielder. Like I said, power speed combo. There's a lot of ways there for him to be productive. Still only 20 years old in high A. So on one hand, obviously plenty of growth left and plenty of adjustments that are going to need to be made to help him reach that upside, but plenty of ceiling if he's able to do it. And then Colton Ledbetter, you talked about it. This guy can impact the baseball. There's some real power there. There always has been, like big exit velocities. And again, some things that we saw that present a little bit of upside in the bat. Has played all three outfield positions. Good athlete out there. Can cover some ground. Can get to the baseball in the outfield. So another chance for somebody who is coming off a full season in Double-A. Hopefully has a big league future ahead of him. Left-handed hitter with power and some athleticism.
Chaim, in addition to the talent you got, you also picked up 2 competitive balance round B draft picks. And I would imagine this is pretty exciting for you and your staff because you guys will now have 6 of the first 86 picks in the 2026 draft. What could that mean for the Cardinals and the project that you have are leading, this undertaking?
Well, it's obvious, but obviously you got a chance to bring a whole lot of young talent in the organization, and also to be able to come into this stacking those on top of the pick that we already have in the A round. Not only is it a lot of shots on goal, so to speak, but you also have a bonus pool that you can get creative with if those opportunities present. Obviously, you don't want to force anything, but sometimes there are those opportunities to move money around throughout the draft and get more talent that way. So it's a great opportunity. We didn't have a bias coming into this on whether we were, prospects or picks. Obviously value both. The main thing is really just, consistent with the whole project we're undertaking and consistent with everything we've talked about and everything you've heard me talk about again and again about how do the Cardinals win consistently over time. And it is always through the pipeline. It's always through having this steady flow of championship caliber players, not to do it just once, but always be able to replenish that core. And so the more talent we're able to amass, hopefully the quicker that will come and the easier it will be to sustain it. And certainly in July, we're going to have an opportunity to do that in the draft.
With the new TV situation for the Cardinals, we know there was a revenue hit that took place for last year, and there might be one this year, according to some reporting today. How much does that deal affect what your plan is on the roster side?
Yeah, look, obviously, it's not a situation anybody would have preferred. You rewind X number of years to when the TV landscape in our industry was a little more stable. So it's obviously not something you ask for or prefer, and those impacts are real. The way I look at it, though, they don't really impact the strategy big picture. Obviously, money is real and budgets are real in this game. So we do have to navigate that potentially on a short-term basis. But in terms of the long term, in terms of, we're already in a situation where we're looking to build this for the long haul and, amass a talent base that can sustain winning long term, and nothing changes with respect to that. And, I'm happy that, in conversations with ownership, them continuing to recognize the importance of, the investments we've made behind the curtain, which are not as visible to the public, but hopefully will allow us to find and produce talent at an elite level, that, that is something that's also very important for the long haul. And nothing's changing with respect to the attention on that. So as far as our long-term goals, obviously we are going to have to ride out some of these bumps in the road with some things that might happen in the revenue situation in the short term, but we're just staying focused on what we need to accomplish and fortunate that we've got the backing to do so.
Chaim Bloom is with us, Cardinals president of baseball operations, for just a little bit longer on the Gashouse Gang, and thank you for doing this. You're still shopping is my understanding, and still perhaps trading too in pursuit of a right-handed bat. We've talked about this also. Can I boil this down to that person being an outfielder, or can that person still have some versatility to bounce around in the infield also?
I think there's room for some versatility. Outfield is the cleanest fit. You just look at our roster and that stands out, although obviously, certainly with the loss of Brendan, we do have more opportunity that really could come anywhere. But obviously, more recently, he's been more of a factor in the infield. So it really could come from anywhere. You want to make sure that it is the right fit. There's different things. I actually got asked about this at the press conference, and there's different things in terms of trades, in terms of free agency that we've pursued, just haven't found that right match to this point. Look, I do think we have some interesting internal options if we don't line up on something externally, but I do think there's a good opportunity for us to go outside the organization to add some sort of right-handed hitter. I think outfield is probably cleanest, but it's not the only thing we're going to look at, and just want to make sure that whoever we're getting really fits the roster and is able to enhance the roster in different ways.
I'm going to. I think our time's running a little short, so I'm going to steal a base and ask you 2 for 1 here. Number one, to go back to Senja for a minute. It sounded like you were keeping an open mind about having him pitch from both sides. The Mariners, as you probably know, they had made a decision to focus on his right-handed pitching because he's stronger there. So, what is your philosophy on this going into it? And number 2. With Donovan traded, does this mean Weatherholt at second base and Gorman, Sajasi at third base? I know fans are wondering about how the pieces will set up now.
Yeah, good questions. I like the 2 for 1 hustle double right there. Busting it out of the box. I like it. So as far as Durangelo, I probably talked around it a little more than I wanted to when I got asked this for the press, mainly just because, look, I talked to him for the first time ever last night, and we want to get him in-house and really understand his routine. So I didn't want to speak too definitively, but broadly speaking, I do think the Mariners were onto something here. The right side really is a side to us that has that highest ceiling. But we just want to make sure we're being mindful of the fact that this guy has gotten where he's gotten on a pretty unique routine, and you don't want to make massive adjustments to that routine, especially in terms of what he's doing between outings without some thoughtfulness. And even from what I understand, what the Mariners' plan was still to allow him to throw off the mound left-handed, just not necessarily feature it in games, just to keep that going. I think some of that's probably if the player wants to keep it as an option long-term, and some of it might be the smart thing to do just for the body. Again, you think about what goes into every starting pitcher's routine, and he's had this whole other set of adaptations that he's just made naturally over the course of his life to be able to do what he does. And so you don't necessarily want to go cold turkey on all that without really good reason. So that's part of why I was a little vague on it. I do think, like I said, Seattle's onto something with the right side being the side where you can look at and really see that super high ceiling, not to take anything away from what he does from the left side. But certainly we're going to get him in-house and get to know him a little bit, sit down with him, talk to him, get our pitching team and our performance team with him, and really figure out what's worked for him. But I do think the right side is probably like when you want to dream on what I talked about, it's easier to see that coming from the right side, and a lot of the evidence suggests that that's where it's going to come from. So I think the Mariners were on the right track, but we just need to get to know him and need to get his voice in the conversation, most important. That's hopefully that helps a little bit with your question. And then as far as our infield, look, you guys know how I feel about JJ. I also feel like there's nothing I want to come out and just hand him. I want to make sure that, we're doing the same assessment of him coming into this camp that we would have done if Brendan were still here. It's nice that he has the ability to play really anywhere on the infield. Obviously, we got multiple options with Gorman. We've got different options with Sajasi. Fermin gives us some options. And, of course, we're going to be continuing to look at any way we can improve our either our roster for the short term, if it makes sense, or our talent base for the long term. So I don't necessarily want to rule anything in or out. As you know, we really want to see what JJ does coming into camp. Certainly keeping an open mind about what that could lead to, but don't want to hand him anything before he goes out there and shows us where he's at.
Chaim, thank you for doing this. It is much appreciated, the extra time for the Gashouse Gang, and we'll catch up with you real soon. Have a great rest of your day.
You bet. Anytime for you guys. Have a good rest of the day.
Thank you. There's your president of baseball operations, Chaim Bloom, of the St. Louis Cardinals, discussing the Brendan Donovan trade. We, of course, will discuss this further on the show. We're here until 1 o'clock. We'll go through some of your comments as well. Hey, look, the fans' reaction is not one-sided, but when is it ever for anything? I mean, they have their opinions on this, and we get that, and we're going to talk about that as well. Very much appreciated. Again, Chaim Bloom doing that. We'll take a quick break. We'll come back with much more. It's the Gashouse Gang on KMOX, sponsored by Saliga Heating and Cooling. When Bernie's around, SaligaHeatingandCooling.com, a Daikin dealer, and Overhead Door Company of St. Louis. Back after this.
I go for all kinds of things I love, and there it was.
That hologram trading card. One of the rarest, the last one I needed for my set. Shiny like the
designer handbag of my dreams. One of a kind. eBay had it, and now everyone's asking, ooh, where'd you get your
windshield wipers? eBay has all the parts that fit my car. No more annoying, just beautiful.
Millions of finds, each with a story. eBay. Things.
For the ones who get it done.
St. Louis has a voice.
KMOX, the voice of St. Louis.
That voice has shared our stories from headline to history. From moment to memory.
Presenting the Barnyard Bullies.
Among those voices, Bill Wilkerson.
He fakes drop sets, looking, throwing upfield. It is.
Working at KMOX is an honor and a responsibility to represent this community. It's one we take seriously. KMOX, the voice of St. Louis.
I hear from sellers all the time that they fear they have missed out on the selling market. They are so relieved to learn September, October, and November are strong selling months. With low inventory and hopefully lower interest rates, this fall will be a hot one for real estate. I'm Christina Straight, owner of Straight Realty. You may have heard me say, why pay more than 4 for years? Now it's why pay more than 2, saving you even more money. Call me 314-441-4444. And remember, why pay more than 2?
Straight Realty is a licensed broker in the state of Missouri, Kansas, and Nevada. Join Mark Patrick Hypnosis. Lose the weight or stop smoking. Guaranteed only $59.99. Saturday, March 7th at the Residence Inn by Marriott St. Louis Westport in St. Louis. Weight loss hypnosis starts at 11 a.m. Registration at 10:30 a.m. Stop smoking starts at 2 p.m. Registration 1:30 p.m.
I'm Dave Glover, and I see clearly now thanks to the doctors, Dr. Greg Birdie, Ranjan Malhotra, Robert Brusati, and Andy Royer. You can too. Just go to youridoc.com.
If you owe the IRS, you have a legal issue, and you need the Lance Drury Law Firm. We'll protect your rights. Log on at lancedrurylaw.com.
At Uline, they know going the extra mile takes hard work. For companies pushing to go further, Uline will go the distance with you. 24/7, they answer the phone to get you the shipping and industrial supplies you need. Business can move fast. Unexpected large orders, adverse weather, new safety guidelines, and changing economic trends. Uline works hard keeping 41,000 items ready to ship, minimizing detours on your way to the extra mile. Visit uline.com.
It all comes down to this, folks.
Yep, the entire season is on the line. But my throat has officially thrown in the towel.
Sounds like you need Vicks VapoCool drops. They're max strength and vaporize sore throat pain.
Whoa! These VapoCool drops hit fast.
Speaking of fast, did you just see that play?
Yeah, he vaporized that ball.
That pun should have come with a penalty.
Vaporize sore throat pain with Vicks VapoCool drops. Use as directed.
Soulard is going to the dogs. Make sure to bring your four-legged friend to the streets of Soulard for the 33rd annual Purina Pet Parade, the world's largest costume pet parade. It all starts at 12th and Allen, Sunday, February 8th at 1 p.m. And KMOX's own Dave Glover will be leading the pack as the parade's Grand Marshal. Sign up today to march in the parade with your dog. The event supports Open Door Animal Sanctuary. For more details, PurinaPetParade.com. Don't miss this annual St. Louis Mardi Gras tradition, sponsored by Purina.
proudly serving St. Louis for over 100 years. KMOX, the voice of St. Louis.
Good to have Chaim Bloom with us, with Chris Ranji. I'm Tom Ackerman. Bernie Miklasz also joins us on Tuesdays. It was nice to hear from Chaim. Bernie, before we go back to a break and hear weather at the bottom of the hour, let's get your reaction to what you just heard from the president of baseball operations.
Well, first of all, I just think Chaim Bloom did very well here, and his patience paid off. But the Cardinals traded Brendan Donovan, who's a really good player and a very popular player, but he's a player they're going to have under contract for only 2 more years. And there were some preliminary talks about a contract extension that didn't go anywhere. So to be able to flip a guy that's got basically 2 years left on your uniform for a 5-item bundle that has 3 prospects that were drafted in the first round or the second round, plus 2 more draft picks, which will give, as I mentioned, give the Cardinals 6 of the top 86 picks in this year's draft, and an increase in draft pool money that they can spend. They'll get about an extra 2.5 million, which Chaim alluded to. They can move that around. In other words, if they have a chance to draft someone that's not sure he wants to come out, a high school kid or a college player might want to stay, they can throw more money at him to convince him to come, things like that. So there's a big advantage to having those 2 extra, those compensation round picks. That's a real thing. That isn't just fluff. That's actually really valuable. So a 5-item bundle like that, I'll be honest with you. I would have a hard time understanding why anyone would say that the Cardinals didn't make a good deal there.
Yeah, I mean, they're not as deep into it perhaps as we are, or certainly as Chaim is, and are as familiar with the players. We'll get into that. You know what? Coming up next segment, the varying reaction across the board on this move from the fans, but also from analysts. We'll kind of get into that. And then, of course, our own reaction as we dissect this, the Brendan Donovan trade with Bernie Miklasz and Chris Ranji. I'm Tom Ackerman. Chris, tell us about our great sponsor, FanDuel.
Well, guys, you know that baseball season, well, we're still some weeks away from that, but right now is last call for football, and FanDuel's trying to give you a daily profit boost every single day leading up to the big game this Sunday. So here's the 30% profit boost for today. It's on the rushing markets. Rushing yards, over under, alt rushing yards, most rushing yards. I got Kenneth Walker at 73.5 right now. You can take that. You can go with maybe Stevenson or Henderson having more rushing yards over Walker. Whatever it is you're into, all you have to do is opt in each day, place an eligible bet to use that day's profit boost. Play your game with FanDuel, official sportsbook partner of Super Bowl 60. Go to FanDuel.com/Missouri to get started. Must be 21 or over and present in Missouri. Opt-in required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable profit boost tokens. Restrictions apply, including any token expiration and max wager amount. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Start your day with an edge.
Total Information AM.
It's like breakfast for your brain.
I wake up, I turn on the news.
I gotta listen 3 or 4 times every day.
Debbie Monterey, Megan Lynch, Tom Ackerman.
I like to wake up with the news.
Total Information AM.
It's where I get my news. Traffic conditions and potential weather that's coming.
Total Information AM. Weekdays 5 to 9.
I like to turn it on and just get caught up.
Where I get my news. The news, weather, and traffic.
On the voice of St. Louis, KMOX.
The Humane Society of Missouri's Day of Giving is just around the corner. On this day, your favorite local TV station will highlight incredible rescue stories of animals fighting to survive, stories of courage, resilience, and hope. Visit the Humane Society website to watch these powerful stories and see the life-saving work made possible by compassionate donors like you. These stories underscore why it's so vital to support the HSMO. Go to KMOX.com/events today for more information.
Now, KMOX weather from the Saliga Heating and Cooling Weather Desk.
We're looking at a cloudy sky and 36 degrees right now. Could be some freezing drizzle today and a low tonight of 22.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-9834. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-575-9834. That's 800-575-9834. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
If you owe back taxes, listen carefully to rule number 1. Never go up against the IRS alone. They're cracking down, freezing bank accounts, garnishing paychecks, canceling passports. Even your home or business could be at risk. But here's what they don't tell you. The IRS has powerful tax relief programs that could save you thousands if you qualify. That's why smart people call Optima Tax Relief, America's #1 tax resolution firm. Nobody knows these programs like the experts at Optima. Their team of tax attorneys and licensed professionals have resolved over $2 billion in tax debt for people just like you. The IRS is not stopping, so don't wait and don't take them on alone. For tax help you need, for tax help you can trust, call Optima today for a free consultation.
Call 800-348-0269. 800-348-0269. 800-348-0269.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Tonight, it's men's Billikens basketball action as they face Davidson. Pregame 7:45, tip at 8 on your home for Billikens basketball. KMOX.
It's the Gashouse Gang. Our visits with Bernie Miklasz, sponsored by Saliga Heating and Cooling, a Daikin dealer, Chris Ranji, Tom Ackerman. We are here with you. Our producers are Matt Bajeski and Frank Ladd. And we had Chaim Bloom on the first part of the show. If you'd like to listen to that, you can always go back. Maybe wait till our show's over. Or if you have to listen to it right now, you can go do it.
I mean, you could do the rewind thing, but why wouldn't you just wait?
Yeah, just wait till
we're done soon.
Calm
down.
They like Chaim a lot. Enrico says Chaim's very thoughtful. I've gotten texts already from people outside of this comment line who said it was a fantastic interview. Mitchell said, is it weird that I'm bummed out that it had come to this for the Cardinals, but I'm also excited that the page is being turned? I think it's a good place to start.
Mitchell is exactly where I'm at. Mm-hmm. I feel exactly the same way, that it's because I see where Brendan Donovan is going, and it is to a good situation. And, you know, he's a great fit in that lineup. He'll be probably right at the top of the Mariners lineup. You're going to have Cal and Julio Rodriguez hitting behind you. That's a Josh Naylor. That's going to be a really good spot for him. And he is a really, really good piece for a team that's already pretty strong. And the Mariners won 90 games last year, so he makes them better. It's sad to me that the Cardinals couldn't be in a position where they could use a guy like that. Now, of course, you're going to say, well, every team could use a guy like Donovan. Yes, that's true, but he is most useful on a team that is contending, to be a part of a really strong lineup already, and then you got him to deal with at the top of the order. He's going to give you a little bit of on base. He knows how to take at bats. He takes really good at bats. That's the kind of guy a really strong team with some offense could really use. And it stinks that the Cardinals aren't there. And Mitchell is exactly right, who's watching us on YouTube, that, you know, it wasn't going to happen here. They're probably not going to be particularly competitive over the next couple of years. And I guess things could accelerate and change. I don't know. But it doesn't look like they're going to be a division favorite anytime soon. So it's nice that we are now shifting our attention to minor league young talent. Let's see what some of these guys can do. They're going to get a couple of extra draft picks on top of all of it. This is the shift in the organization that needed to happen maybe a couple of years ago. We might be a little bit late on it, but I'm happy they're going that direction. But also it stinks they had to go that direction. So I get what Mitchell is saying.
I think once they decided to go in this direction, and you know, to me, there was no turning back, and it was overdue, and I'm really glad they went this way. So they had to do this right. you go back to last July, and let's be totally honest here. Chaim Bloom, in effect, was calling the shots in the draft because John Mozeliak went to him and said, okay, or at the trade deadline, I should say, okay, would you like this trade? If not, what would you suggest to maybe change it around? So Chaim Bloom's impact showed up not only with the draft in 2025, but also the trade deadline. So since last July, the Cardinals have added 13 prospects to their organization, 9 of whom are pitchers, and 10 of the 13 prospects are currently included among the Cardinals' top 30 prospects, either at Baseball America or MLB.com. The other thing about getting these prospects and drafting Liam Doyle, the Cardinals now have 6 players in the top 100. When Seattle traded the pitcher here, he went from top 100 for Seattle to top 100 for St. Louis. So the Cardinals and the Mariners are tied for first in the majors with the most players in the top 100. And this is the first time the Cardinals have had 6 players in the top 100 going into a season since 2013. So my point to bring up all this stuff is that when they won't say rebuild, but I have no problem saying it. When they go into this project, you want to see, okay, well, where's it going? Where's the progress? Where is it headed? They made a lot of progress. I mean, the Cardinals farm systems jumped 10 spots from where it was last year on ESPN. So Chaim Bloom has this thing moving, whether, I respect people who disagree with whatever, but this is a guy who's taken a very bold and aggressive approach and doing what a rebuilding team should do in that situation, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I respect people who disagree also, because I understand the other side of it in that they're used to winning. They're used to making trades that help you win a World Series, not the other way around. And they're trying to adjust to this. So they may react with some anger because they don't have the background on it. There's also a lot of people, and look, fans come in all different backgrounds and in terms of depth of knowledge too, because some fans, look, they got things to do. I mean, they're not sitting around reading about every prospect. They know what they see. There's some fans that hardly know that the Donovan trade went down and who they received. All they know is that Brendan Donovan is gone, that Contreras is gone, that Gray is gone, that Arenado is gone. So to them, they are saddened by it. And I get that, because if your expectation is that the team's going to go out there and win the division, you're going to not really like what you see here. Yeah. What you're seeing here is, as Bernie mentioned, a project that is underway of rebuilding this entire franchise. And it's not the same prospect pool in terms of how they're going to develop these players as it was 5 years ago. This is a totally different system that they are putting these players into now.
It's interesting what Bernie's talking about with the top 100 prospects. So now they've got 6 on that list. And after you guys remember from last month when, was it MLB.com or MLB Network? I'm not sure who, but they did their top 100 players right now. So major league players right now, and there were 0 Cardinals on it. Donovan got left off, and there was a little bit of, how could you leave him off? But look at that list of current major league roster talent. The Cardinals have nobody on that list.
I thought Herrera made it.
Did he? I don't think he did. I thought it was Donovan was the only one. You might be right. But even if it is, it's one person compared to now 6 in their prospects list, which means it's not about the now for the Cardinals. And you know what? Maybe none of those 6 pan out, guys, but the more of those top 100 prospects you have, the more likely it is that you're going to have some real major leaguers filter their way to the big leagues.
Well, I'm glad you said that, because I want to make a couple quick points. One of the reactions, or some of the reactions I've seen just over the last 24 hours is like, when we're talking about how this, listen, you get a bundle of 5 good items that fit a rebuild perfectly. People push back like, well, we don't know how these prospects are going to turn out. They could be bust. All due respect. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Say that about every trade in the history of mankind in Major League Baseball. But to Chris Ranji's point, And again, we will know in 2 or 3 years whether this trade was good or not. But I think it's good. It's fun for everybody to have an instant reaction, their first reaction to it. And I think given the state they're in the rebuild, they got 5 really good assets in this thing, and we'll see where they go, So my initial reaction is favorable, but who knows? 2 or 3 years from now, I might say, look, I thought it was good at the time. Didn't work out.
Yeah.
And the other thing, guys, real quick, and I'm sorry, is that people have pointed out to me, including a couple of my friends, who say, well, prospects is great, but we heard the same thing about Walker. We heard the same thing about Gorman. We heard the same thing about this guy. That timeout. Okay, true. But were those guys drafted by Chaim Bloom and his people? No.
Exactly.
So what's the point exactly?
And you are correct, Bernie. It was Herrera came in 98th on that list, 98th out of 100. So they did have a top 100 player, and that's that's somebody that could help them out for the next few years, right? I mean,
yeah.
Look, this is all about the future for the Cardinals. We knew that's what it was going to be. There is, for me, some optimism there, knowing that they have acquired in the last year some good young pedigreed talent. Again, we don't know how it's going to pan out, but they have given themselves a really good chance to build a strong young core, and they just have to keep building on that.
A lot of questions about Lazaro Montez. I see that from 1, 2, 3 different comments. Did the Cardinals kick the tires on Montez? That's a guy who, there are a lot of lists out there. ESPN did not have him in the top 100. They had him, I believe, at 108, but he is an outfielder in the Mariners system. He is, again, a left-handed bat, but somebody that they believe is a phenom. The Cuban is 21 years old. Don't know the answer to that. I'm sure that Chaim Bloom asked about every single prospect and has looked at every single prospect, and this is what he ended up with. So I'm sure they didn't walk in there, Bernie, and not mention a name of a player. I mean, they canvassed the whole thing. Seattle's farm system is pretty outstanding.
It's great. I think the Cardinals were really excited about, or they are excited about the outfielder that they did get in the trade, because he's a tremendous athlete. Ty Pete, sorry. Mm-hmm. He's got the swing and miss issue, but so does Montez. And if anything, Pete is, I'm just playing devil's advocate here. Pete is an excellent athlete with great speed. He has the range to play really good center field. He's a kid. He swings and misses a lot. He strikes out a lot. That's not a good sign, because a lot of times when a guy that young is an A-ball and that problem is there against Class A pitchers, he never overcomes it. So that's the risk. But his ceiling is really, really high. So he's got the power potential to be a difference maker, and he also has the speed to be a difference maker on the bases. But again, young guy, you never know which way it's going to go. But when you're rebuilding, you go for those high ceiling guys. And if they could get one of those guys that the Mariners had like that, if it wasn't Montez, they got Pete, and now you take your chances and see which way he goes. That's what trades are all about.
We have more to discuss when we come back. But first, Bernie, tell us about the great people at Saliga Heating and Cooling.
I'm happy to. Saliga Heating and Cooling has been around since 1927. This Daikin comfort dealer has been amazing. Continuously owned and operated by the same Saliga family, 4 generations, and they've been taking care of St. Louis families for the last 100 years. I love that. How can you not love that? Because it tells us they're great at what they do. You're not going to be around 100 years later, the same family doing this? Are you kidding me? It also tells you they're trustworthy, they're honorable. You build client loyalty because you build the trust first. Because if people don't trust you, they're not going to call you. And it's always been a Saliga philosophy. Our clients, we have to earn their trust. The only way we will have a business that matters. And that applies to today. It's 2026. They opened in 1927. So we have found the Miklas's the last 18 years, never at once do we ever question their honesty, trustworthiness. They look for inexpensive solutions for us, not trying to hustle us into a more expensive repair job, things like that. So I can't be more enthusiastic about recommending them. So why don't you get all the information for Saliga Heating and Cooling, including the phone number, by going to SaligaHeatingandCooling.com. Thank you.
This is the story of the one. As the purchasing manager at a manufacturing plant, she knows the only thing more important than having the right safety gear is having it there when you need it. That's why she partners with Grainger for auto reordering, so her team members can count on her to have cut-resistant gloves on hand, and each shift can run safely and efficiently. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
LifeLock, how can I help?
The IRS said I filed my return, but I haven't.
1 in 4 tax-paying Americans has paid the price of identity fraud.
What do I do?
My refund, though.
I'm freaking out.
Don't worry, I can fix this.
LifeLock fixes identity theft guaranteed and gets your money back with up to $3 million in coverage.
I'm so relieved.
No problem. I'll be with you every step of the way.
1 in 4 was a fraud-paying American. Not anymore. Save up to 40% your first year with promo code NEWS at LifeLock.com. Terms apply.
Retiring soon? Get the information you need by joining Kyle Jones and Matt Allgeier of Fire Capital Management for your retirement highway, Sunday mornings at 9:30. Investment advisory services made available through Pine Ridge Advisors, LLC, a registered investment advisor. Securities made available through AE Financial Services, LLC, member FINRA and SIPC.
I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. Our firm handles hundreds of crash cases involving semi-trucks every year. A crash case involving semis is much different, and if you don't know what you're doing, you can leave lots of money on the table. Many times there is separate insurance for the cab and for the trailer. Sometimes there are actually layers of other insurances and excess insurance that some lawyers may not know about because they don't see that many cases. We see these cases every day. Also, there are federal laws governing the hours a driver may drive in a 24-hour period and logs that are required. A crash case involving a semi-truck is a totally different animal than a simple car crash. We have lawyers who only handle these cases. It's all they do. Rolling the dice with the wrong law firm can be disastrous. Call us on your cell phone at Pound Law, pound 529. It's so easy. Injured? Dial Pound Law or visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
Hey guys, Kevin Wheeler here for FanDuel Sportsbook, the official sportsbook of KMOX and my official sportsbook as well. It may be last call for football, but FanDuel's giving you a daily profit boost. So every single day this week leading up to the big game, it's there waiting for you. Today's 30% profit boost is on the rushing markets. So rushing yards over, under, alt rushing yards, most rushing yards, a lot of choices there. So, for example, will Kenneth Walker hit the over on 76.5 rushing yards? How about lowering Drake May's rushing total to 30-plus instead of 36.5? Do Ramondre Stevenson and Trevion Henderson have a chance to have the most rushing yards over Kenneth Walker? A lot of ways to play. All you have to do is opt in each day and place an eligible bet to use that day's profit boost. Play your game with FanDuel, official sportsbook partner of Super Bowl 60. And remember, must be 21 or older and present in Missouri. Opt-in required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable profit boost tokens. Restrictions apply, including any token expiration or max wager amount. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. If you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Now, back to the Gashouse Gang, sponsored by Saliga Heating and Cooling.
And by Overhead Door Company of St. Louis and Chesterfield Fence and Deck.
On 104.1 FM, KMOX.
Back on the Gashouse Gang with Chris Ranji and Bernie Miklasz. Again, thanks to Chaim Bloom for joining us. We could have had Chaim on for an hour, and quite honestly, he's such a gentleman, he probably would have stayed as long as he could have, but we got him on his way after a good, 20 minutes with him. Bernie, there was a little more news that the Cardinals have passed along. They have promoted some members of their front office. Zach Mortimer becomes Director of Amateur Acquisition. Ty Boyles becomes Assistant Director of Amateur Acquisition. What that means, Amateur Acquisition, obviously they're going to be running the draft, but they will report to Randy Flores, and Flo has been running the draft for a while. So I guess what I take away from that is that they promoted from within. That's a good sign that Chaim likes what he sees up there.
You're absolutely right. Your read's correct. And, Mortimer has been a valuable, if kind of low key, in other words, not a publicity seeker, doesn't look for the limelight and all that. He has quietly done a great job for them. And I think he's earned this promotion. And I'm really happy for Randy Flores because Chaim Bloom likes him a lot. He really likes him a lot, but he thinks Randy can be because he has a guy like Mortimer to put in charge of the draft. Randy can sort of spread his wings and take on more responsibility in the organization, especially in the pro scouting side, where he can go out and look at trade candidates the Cardinals are after. And so, to me, this is the best combination. Elevate Flo, elevate Mortimer. Both of them have earned that.
It seems to me Chaim Bloom has a pretty good process. And again, the results will tell us down the road. It's not really possible to know right now. But I got some bad news because William is watching on YouTube. And he says the Mariners have been offering that pitcher to everyone. And the outfielder can't hit. The return sucks. Okay. So, I guess that's that.
I guess we call it a career for those guys then at age 20, whatever.
Yeah,
Bernie, it's over.
It's a shame. You know, R.J. Anderson, who I think is great, CBS Sports.
Yeah,
he's got Senja as his number 44 overall prospect.
He gave the Cardinals an A for the return.
Yeah, right. And once the Mariners got smart and said, "Look, man, he's got to throw from the right. He's got to throw right-handed. We got to end this novelty act." This kid took off, and he needs to find a way to get left-handed hitters out. But my point is, if you got the number 44 overall prospect in the majors, and you are, quote, offering him to everyone, well, I don't. Shouldn't he have been snatched up before this? Maybe they were holding out for a pretty big return. Maybe Chaim Bloom was trying to get him all along and finally was able to work it so they could get him. He's a very highly regarded guy. So I just love it. People are always looking for the clouds and the silver lining. You know, it's human nature. I do it too. So that's okay.
Yeah.
But also, you know, everybody in the world knew he was being dealt. So the Cardinals are already not coming from a position of strength on that. To get what they did, I mean, you get the prospects. We don't know what they'll be. Ultimately, we don't know that yet. It's impossible to know. But they got the draft picks on top of it, too, which we've covered. So, I mean, you're acquiring good, young, promising talent, which is exactly what the goal should be right now. That shouldn't be the goal necessarily in 3 years. They should be going for it in 3 years. But right now, that's what they're supposed to be doing.
Yeah, maybe in 2 years when Donnie becomes a free agent, they'll bring him back, join the party as they chase down a division. No, I'm just kidding, sort of. But what about this? Think about this. Nobody can argue this. The Cardinals, for the first time in a while, with all respect to the people who have been in charge, because there have been some good ones, they've been in the middle. The Cardinals finally have a plan. They have a plan. It is set in stone, and they have not had that. Nobody can argue that. They finally have it. You can say you like it or you don't like it, but they have one. And now we'll see if it works out for them. But it is definitive. Chaim Bloom, thank you for joining us. Bernie Miklasz, thank you. Chris Ranji, as always, thank you. Our producers, Matt Pajeski and Frank Ladd, and all of our viewers and listeners. It is the Gashouse Gang on KMOX. We say so long. We turn things over to the DGS. We'll see you tomorrow.